It was a Sunday afternoon. I had just picked up my newspaper and started reading it, when all of a sudden the phone rang. Who could it be?
Yeah, Detective Martin.
They needed some help.
Oh, alright, yeah, you got it, I'll be right there.
My client's name was Susie Dinkelhopper. Somebody had stolen her teddy bear and she needed my help. I noticed some gum wrappers on the scene of the crime, along with a shoe, size 11. It wasn't much, but I knew I could help.
Don't worry, I'll find your teddy bear.
With this evidence in mind, I was able to find 4 suspects. They all had a few things in common. Firstly, they all wore glasses. And secondly, they all had a size 11 shoe. This is Miguel Finnegan. He was my first suspect. I found him at the scene of the crime shortly after the incident happened. Only thing is, he doesn't seem to care. This is Becky Dinkelhopper, Susie's sister. The only thing I can't figure out about her is, why would she do it? Maybe jealousy? I don't know. This is Rachel McBarry. She's my third suspect. She has a pretty good alibi. She says she was out of town for that week. But I don't know. There's something in her eyes you just can't trust. This was my fourth suspect, Marcio Flauhardy. She seems innocent enough at first, but I have inside information that she collects teddy bears and Susie's might have been on that list. These were my 4 suspects. I didn't know who it was, but I know whoever did it had to be in this group. The only thing was, who is it? I thought long and hard about this for a few weeks. Unfortunately, the only answers that I didn't have were the ones that I needed. It just didn't make sense. Why would the suspect take the teddy bear? Maybe they just didn't want Susie to have it. I didn't know. Without more information, there's no way I'll be able to solve this case.
Hi everybody, I'm Jessica and
I'm Mark.
Yep, and we're Team Kateri, and today we're going to be talking to you about the 7th and 10th commandment. Mark, can you tell us what the 7th commandment is?
Sure, Jessica. The 7th commandment is thou shalt not steal.
We know stealing's bad, right? Stealing's bad. We don't steal. But why is stealing bad?
I mean, think about it. If you misplace something, you are greatly distressed about that, and you're very upset about that. But then if you add the element of stealing, that somebody took that item that you misplaced, that's really, really bad. That's really, really painful to us too.
It really hurts us deep.
It does, Jessica, because it disrespects our neighbors and it disrespects our relationship with them and our relationship with God. It also disrespects ourselves.
How so?
Because we're saying to ourselves that what we have is not enough. And we're looking over at what our neighbor has and wanting that and desiring that instead of being content with what we have and being content in God's rest. Also, Jessica, it goes against natural law because if you think about it, there's no culture on earth or government on earth that values or promotes theft. You can't, even in history, you can't think of any society in history that has ever been fully on board with, stealing other people's things.
Really?
Really, I mean, there have been very severe penalties in the past for people who've stolen. In some cultures, they cut off your hands if you steal. So, of course, no society values stealing.
Yeah, I know that here you go to jail if you steal somebody else's things.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a very, very, very serious crime, and it carries serious consequences for us. For one, our neighbors may distrust everybody. Where once they were very open and very trustworthy towards people, they may decide that nobody's worth trusting. And that's something that we never want to see, because when that happens, society becomes a very painful place to live. Also, when we steal, we damage our relationship with God because it's a sin. It's a very big sin. It's a capital sin. And when we sin, we separate ourselves from God. Our natural desire is to be with God, is to be joined together with Him.
I don't want to damage my relationship with God.
No, of course not. We should always remember that we have a very moral God.
What do you mean by that?
Take the Ten Commandments for example. All of those are a template for how God is, or what things that God values. Things that are very important to God. For example, honoring thy father and mother. If we want to make God happy, we should do our best to honor the Ten Commandments, to not steal, and to be as good as we can to please God.
Mm-hmm. So we know that stealing is bad. How can we kind of flip that? What can we do instead of stealing?
Jessica, I'm glad you asked that question. Giving alms to the poor, giving to the poor, and giving generously. Giving without expecting that person's going to give back to us.
Mm-hmm.
We should give without that expectation. In fact, we should give and not expect to receive anything in return.
Does giving always mean I have to give clothes to the poor or money?
No, of course not. You can give of your time.
Oh.
You can be very generous with giving your time, being a good listener to a friend.
Awesome. Wow. Thanks, Mark. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely have a better understanding of the Seventh Commandment now. Why don't we go into talking about the 10th Commandment?
The 10th Commandment is very similar to the 7th Commandment in that you shall not desire your neighbor's goods.
Okay.
When we do that, it speaks to a poverty in our heart because our hearts should be filled with the love of God. And when that's not happening, when we decide that God's love is not enough for us, and we're not satisfied any longer by God's love, then we seek to look towards worldly things to satisfy us, and they never will. And we should remember what Jesus said in the Gospel of Matthew 6:21, where he says, "Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." So you should always keep that in mind. Some desires are good. For example, desiring to eat or desiring to warm ourselves. Those desires are good, but desire in general can lead us in a bad direction because sometimes these desires lead us to unjustly want what somebody else has. The 10th Commandment forbids us to have greed in our heart, and so we must try as hard as we can to detach ourselves from having greed in our heart. Envy, in a lot of ways, stems from pride.
What exactly is envy?
Envy is being jealous of somebody for having something, but it's far serious than jealousy. When it leads you to feeling sad that somebody has something, then that's really bad because we shouldn't be upset that somebody has something that we don't have. We should be happy for them that they have something.
So basically, being jealous isn't always a bad thing, but being jealous in the sense that you're struggling with envy is being jealous and being really sad that this person has something that you don't, and you don't want that person to have that.
Again, yeah, exactly, because again, it speaks to the poverty in our hearts, and our treasure should be the love of God, and that should be what sustains us, not looking towards somebody's material objects. If you're curious about a way that you can counter that is to think about voluntary humility, being as humble as you can.
Well, could you tell us a little bit about what humility is?
Humility is really putting somebody else before us, and that's what Jesus did. He put us before himself time and time again. Seeing to somebody else's need before ourselves is definitely a treasure that will be rewarded to us in heaven.
How else can we choose voluntary humility?
Well, being a good steward of the planet. God gave us the planet to look after. Humble in the sense that we recognize our relationship to the world. And when we do that, we're less focused on ourselves and focused on humanity and the greater world.
Yeah, so we gotta take care of the world that we live in.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's not gonna be a very fun world to live in.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned the Beatitudes a little bit ago. Where can we find those?
Oh, Jesus gave us the Beatitudes when he gave the Sermon on the Mount.
That's cool. So we can find them in the Bible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jesus gave us everything.
Yeah. Amen.
The Beatitudes are examples of how we can live our life.
The Beatitudes sound really awesome. They sound like a really good,
They really are.
like
They are.
basically like a little bit of a roadmap on how to live our lives.
They are. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks, Mark, for talking about the 7th and 10th commandment for us. We put these two commandments together because the 10th commandment is thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods, which can lead to, like Mark had mentioned, greed. And greed can then lead to stealing, which is the 7th commandment, which is thou shalt not steal.
They really show how sinning can create more sin.
Yeah.
So if you have the desire for your neighbor's goods and you don't control that, then that desire can turn to something worse. So like stealing. So
Yeah. We have to be aware of our desires and our needs. Because like Mark said, not all desires are bad, but desires can lead to bad things.
thanks a lot, Jessica.
Yeah.
The case was at a standstill. I needed answers, and I needed them now. Luckily, my prayers were answered. He looked suspicious, but I was willing to take any help I could get.
I heard you're looking for the teddy bear.
Yeah, what of it?
Hey, maybe I know something, maybe I don't. What's in it for me?
Really? Alright,
What do you got?
Jolly Rancher with your name on it.
Candy? What am I, a child?
Well then, how about graham cracker?
Ooh, a cookie. Thanks. Listen, the thief you're looking for, choose Hubba Bubba.
Ah,
Get a load of that.
yeah. Yeah, where'd you find these? They were exactly the same as the ones that I found at the scene of the crime.
What's it to you?
Alright, evidence is evidence. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Finally, a break in the case. This is exactly what I needed. I had seen the gum wrappers on the floor earlier, but I figured it's probably just Susie. Assuming his sources are reliable, that leaves only one suspect.
One of you took that teddy bear. One of you did it. Now, I've called you all here as suspects because you all have a few things in common. You all wear the same shoe. You all have the same glasses. The only thing I don't know is whose gum that was on the floor. Now, I have a few suspicions regarding that interesting fact. I noticed you're the only one chewing gum here, lady.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hubba Bubba. Strawberry watermelon, Hubba Bubba gum. I know you're chewing it.
I'm not.
You did it. You took the teddy bear.
I didn't mean it. I just wanted to play with the teddy bear. My teddy bear. I'm sorry, Susie. I took your bear. Here you go. It's okay. I forgive you.
Now the case closed.
Yay!
Detective Marty Van Dam.